I certainly hope so, and I think he will. There's no reason that he wouldn't. This is Israel. Israel has a right to build communities, homes, bedrooms for their own people, and I believe he's going to believe that, understand that, respect that, and support that. I can't tell you officially because he's not told me what his policy is, but everything indicates to me that he has an extraordinary respect for Judea and Samaria, and will have policies that reflect that.
And another question, with your permission. We know that U.S. administration supported the Palestinian state for about maybe 12, maybe more years. Mm-hmm. Do you think the next president will also demand that from Israel, or maybe he might bring a new perspective which is saying, no, there is no force to build a Palestinian state?
You know, again, I think that's an issue that the Palestinians and Israelis have to come to grips with. I have said, and I'm not speaking for either government, but I'm just speaking as somebody who's been coming to this place for 44 years, that the idea that you're going to put two people on the same piece of real estate, and one of those parties doesn't believe the other one should even exist, that's not a policy, that's a fantasy. And so I think it's time for us to say this isn't going to work. And every time Israel has made overt concessions, it's resulted in disaster. Gush Katif and walking away from Gaza, unmitigated disaster. All it did was create a vacuum for Hamas to come into and later kill Israeli civilians. When you look at the offers that have been put on the table time and again, where Israel said, we'll give you this, and every time, no exception, Palestinians walked away from it. So, I mean, at some point, I think it's time for us to quit playing that game. And I had it this morning. I'm going to see if it's still in my pocket. I think it is.
Your map?
My map. I think. Listen, I think this says it all. And I've shown it on television, and I'll show it to you because I love to show it to Americans because a lot of them don't get it. All this green, every bit of this, that's land that Muslim countries control. That little bitty, tiny, and I have to use my pen to even show it to you, that little tiny sliver of red is Israel. Now, the idea of a two-state solution says the people in that little bitty sliver of red should give up some of that red so that people who think, talk, and live like all these folks should have it. Who in his or her right mind thinks that is a solution to anything?
So is that the next president map as well?
Is that the next what?
That's a map of the next president as well, not only yours, but also of Mr. Trump.
I would be delighted to share it with him, but again, I can't speak for him.
The timing of your visit, 2 weeks before Election Day, is it an indication, of the policy, of the policies that the incoming administration will further, and of the relationship that Mr. Trump hopes to repair between the White House and the Israeli administration?
Well, actually, this trip at this date was planned months ago, even before the U.S. election. So it's been on my calendar since probably September, maybe August, I can't remember, but months ago. This is why I believe there must be a God. It has to be providential that I should show up the week after the absolutely irrational speech by John Kerry regarding the UN resolution. To be able to say that what John Kerry said was bull butter, absolute bull butter. It was insulting to me as an American, and I think certainly insulting to Israelis as well. So I'm happy to be here to say, you know, that was not representative of how I think the average American feels. The resolution was, I think, an embarrassment to the UN and showed that the UN is a farce, not a force. Last year, the UN passed all of one resolution about Syria. One. They're committing genocide in Syria. They passed one resolution about North Korea, where they're eating grass because they don't have any food. The only people who have food are the soldiers that are oppressing the citizens and their nutty dictator. They passed one resolution about Russia that has decided that it is okay to move into Crimea or Ukraine at will. And they had one resolution about Iran that clearly oppresses its people, tramples their human rights, and is most likely doing everything they can to build a nuclear weapon. They passed 20 resolutions about Israel. Now, how could Israel, that little bitty red sliver of land, be that consequential to the United Nations and Russia, North Korea, Syria, and Iran get scant attention? That makes the UN a bigger joke than the last episode of Jerry Seinfeld.
Mr. Huckabee, how do you think the Prime Minister of Israel and Donald Trump are going to get on?
They're going to get along.
You know them both very well.
I do. I know them both very well. I have great respect for both of them. I think they're going to get along terrifically well because they're both plain-spoken people. They're both natural leaders. I think they both are people committed to the notion of freedom, individual responsibility, and self-determination of people. I think it's going to be a terrific relationship.
Mr. Huckabee, do you have any prior knowledge regarding the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem? Is that really going to happen, or is just another...
I have no prior knowledge, but I certainly hope it happens. It should have happened a long time ago. I mean, this is the capital of Israel. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. And the only people who have ever had Jerusalem as a capital have been the Jews. I mean, nobody else has ever made this city a capital, ever. So it shouldn't even be controversial. Now, it will be, but it shouldn't be. And frankly, the whole idea that, well, it may make the world mad. The world's already mad at Israel. You can't make them any madder than they are. A lot of the people in the world hate Israel. You can't make them hate Israel anymore. So what do we care what they think? Israel needs to be glad, and if the U.S. moves the embassy here, I'll be jumping up and down and celebrating.
And just one more question. Are you expected to have a role in this administration?
I was asked to lead a cabinet agency and be secretary of an agency. I declined. I kind of like the private sector. After 30 years of public service, I enjoy the freedom that comes from not being a federal employee or a state employee. And I'm deeply grateful to President-elect Trump, soon-to-be President Trump, for the invitation and opportunity. But I anticipate my daughter very well may be working in the White House, but one of us is enough.
Mr. Huckabee,
Yes.
you met with Prime Minister Netanyahu in this visit.
I have.
If not, are you planning to meet him?
I have, yes.
What do you speak about?
Well, that would be a very, very sensitive matter, wouldn't it? If I told you everything, you know what?
In general.
If I told you what we talked about, I probably would never get invited back. Let me just say, I have the highest respect for the Prime Minister. He has been a friend of mine for, I think, well over 20 years, and I've known him in and out of government, and I find him to be a remarkable person, a person with strong convictions, a person who has a tough job balancing all of the various myriad of interests that exist within Israel, and then trying to balance that against all the pressures he faces. I don't think the people of Israel fully appreciate that there are few leaders on the planet who have as difficult a job of dealing with all the nations of the world as does the Prime Minister of Israel. And I think he handles it with extraordinary grace and ability. I do know this, he is outrageously popular in the United States. He is loved there. And I've often said that if he ever decided to leave Israeli politics, he should come to America, apply for citizenship, and he could become the first Israeli-born U.S. president, because I think he would win handily. He is truly, he is very popular.
Last question.
Mr. Huckabee, do you believe that the incoming administration under Trump would support an Israeli move to annex the big settlements, the blocks?
I don't know. I have not had a conversation with Trump about that. And again, that's Israel's decision.
What's your feeling on it?
My feeling personally, and I'm speaking only as a person, I think Israel would only be acting on the property it already owns. I think Israel has title deed to Judea and Samaria. There are certain words I refuse to use. There is no such thing as a West Bank. It's Judea and Samaria. There's no such thing as a settlement. They're communities, they're neighborhoods, they're cities. There's no such thing as an occupation. The only occupiers were the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Turks, the Brits, the Romans. They were occupiers.
So it is
The Jews are the occupants, the owners.
Does Trump share this view?
He should. I need to work on. I don't know. We've never specifically talked about those terms, but he has some extraordinary people. David Friedman, who will be the ambassador to Israel, strong as garlic. Let me tell you, it was delightful to hear of his appointment to that position.
אדומיד האחרון? לא?
so Governor
אריאל אחרון.
very legitimate in your point of view to take a place, a city like Ma'ale Adumim, and make it a legitimate part of Israel.
I'm sorry, what was the first part?
Which means Ma'ale Adumim is from the other side of the Green Line. Formally, it's not part of Israel today. In your worldview, or maybe the next president's worldview, it is legitimate to annex it, make it part of Israel, like any other cities in the state of Israel.
Well, I think it's already in Israel. I mean, if you go back to you go back 3,200 years if you want to, and say, well, look, this is when the borders were set. But look at 1917 in the Balfour Declaration. 1922 when the League of Nations established the boundaries. Then look at the fact that that's never been rescinded. That's never been rescinded. And I don't understand why anybody in the world says, okay, Israel should walk away from land that they justly possess. And if anybody says that they don't justly possess it, what is the basis of that? Is it the actions of Balfour, 22, the League of Nations? When did that happen? I don't know. A lot of people may not have read the story, but Israel won the war in 1967. They didn't lose. They were surrounded by people who tried to annihilate them. And for them to preserve and protect their homeland, I don't begrudge them for that. And for the kind of communities that they're building here, look behind us. This is a remarkable place. This is as nice as any upscale American community that one can find. And what I want Americans to know is when they hear that word, settlement, I know because I talk to Americans all the time about Israel. And in their minds, they're thinking people are living like Bedouins and pitching tents and living in little trailer parks, with campers. And I said, no, this is what the world calls a settlement. We would call this a very modern, urban, advanced, highly desirable city to live in. And I'm sure the mayor would feel that way, right?